my analysis on Fyodor, which was also my first video by the way, I said he believes that he's genuinely doing some good to the world. And you know what? He might actually be right. Every problem that we have faced in the world of Bungo Stray Dogs is because of an ability user. And in this chapter, Fyodor confirmed it. So all I wanted to say was that I was right and I'm awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. But seriously, as happy as I am that my very subpar predictable predictions were correct, we're here to discuss the more pressing matters that were the last two BSD chapters, namely BSD 120 and 120.5. I know they upset a lot of people and a few more are confused, so let's dive into this one with our pinkies up and our thinking caps on, starting with... Okay, recap time. This chapter mainly featured Akutagawa stepping up to the ring with his new armor and speaking in that fancy-ass dialect from the last chapter to Gozen. The interesting part here is that Gozen actually replies, and if you look closely, you'll see that these aren't Gozen's own words, but Fuguchi's. He says, idea, will are empty, which is just heartbreaking to me. You see, this is him outright saying that he's acting out of will. This is him trying to communicate that he doesn't want this. This is confirmation that Fukuchi is still in there, and that might be a key to defeating Gozen itself. After that, the fight continues, all the while Fyodor has a conversation with Atsushi. He explains to him about dimensions, and let me paraphrase for you what he means basically. See, think of it this way. If we have a drawing of a guy in a force field with us, it's easy to defeat him in a sense because after all, he's a drawing and so is the force field around him. Take a scissor and cut that bitch through. This is because we're three-dimensional beings and the drawing is two-dimensional. Now apply this logic to Akutagawa and Gozen. Akutagawa is three-dimensional, but as Fyodor said before, Gozen is four-dimensional, meaning Akutagawa is like a drawing to him and all he needs to do is... that. Now after this, Fyodor sashes away in model style and explains that whether Atsushi lives or dies doesn't matter to him. This confused a lot of people because, well, Fyodor did all this to get his hands on Atsushi, didn't he? Where is he going? And to that I replied that he was walking in the direction of the man that was already upright. Now time for some more info. Fukuzawa's ability is one that helps him give anyone under his command control of their own ability. Because of him, Atsushi's grip on Byakuya is much stronger than it would be, and for that reason, Fyodor needs Fukuzawa gone before he can properly control Atsushi's ability. Fukuzawa asks Fyodor whether his life matters, to which Fyodor replies no, because it really doesn't. He needs no one alive. Instead, he needs him out of the way and Atsushi's precious ability all to himself. Now, on to... Okay, so the moment you've all been waiting for. Yeah, this chapter was alright. Like, nothing too eventful happened, Fukuzawa died. And to be honest, if you're shocked about that one, you might be beyond saving at this point. I'm sorry. If some dude stood in front of a bulldozer, the bulldozer wouldn't stop to hear what he has to offer, you know? Now, what did stick out in this chapter is Fyodor being right once more and some stellar dialogue. In the chapter, he mocks Fukuchi's belief that uniting humans could bring peace. Instead, he explains how humanity will always look for reasons to argue and come to violence. How trusting humans to do the right thing is childish and foolish. And the thing is, it's true. Fyodor is a man who's been surrounded by humanity for centuries. He knows humans better than anyone. He's seen wars befall in front of him due to the selfishness of the humans that claim to be so righteous and pure. And if you're like me, you might be wondering, why is Fukuzawa arguing against him? I mean, it's hardly Fukuzawa-like. And this is a moment I'd like to talk about something a little bit more difficult to digest. And I'd like you all to open your minds to understand as well. And it starts a lot earlier in this manga. When Yosuno put the goodness of her heart before what she was told to do, Tachihara Shunzen said to her these words just before he hung himself. You are too correct. What does it mean to be too correct? Well, it means to constantly strive for what's good and pure instead of what makes the most sense in a situation. It means to put morals before logic. It means to believe in something and strive for it despite the losses it causes you. Yosuno was too correct, or we could even say perfect, and that perfection led her down a much darker and long-suffering path. She was and is a good person. She was too just as a child and continued to be when the soldiers began suffering because of her morals, because of how tightly she clung to them. And by the way, this isn't me blaming Yosuno for that action and that outcome. She was a child at the end of the day. And now, back to Fukuzawa's words. When Fyodor tells him that war and the tendency to fight and discriminate against each other is part of human nature, he argues that it's not, and that when it comes to it, humans will always choose peace. Now let's use our thinking caps here. Would humans really choose peace when put to it? No! Exactly. Now, people might be wondering why Fukuzawa is being so childish, for lack of a better word. Why is he arguing against Fyodor's words when he's outright saying that this scenario has happened before and attempting to see the good in humanity is futile? Well, there are two reasons. The first one is that we know that achieving world peace through reuniting them in the dire situation against the vampires was Fukuchi's dream. He wanted to pit humanity against these vampires and trust in them to join hands against a common enemy. This is foolish because once again, this puts blind trust in humans to put all discrimination away to achieve a common goal. Something humans will never do. But back to the topic, this was Fukuchi's dream. And we know that Fukuzawa blindly trusted him to the point that it was the agency's downfall at one point. This is him continuing to do so, especially mixed in with his grief in losing his dearest and oldest friend. But also, this is his ability. One that is literally called all men are created equal. This is his ability affecting the way he thinks, literally influencing his morals and beliefs. And we know the agency, we know that they strive for these good morals. Their foolish and blind trust in humanity is why they continue to fight for them despite the fact that those humans could turn on them at any given moment. It's why they're seen as good people in the eyes of us as the readers. Fukuzawa's ability is outright influencing his thoughts here, and that's so interesting to me because this could be another clue as to how abilities work. Does their nature affect how the ability user operates? Or is it the kind of person that the user is that manifests this ability? I'm gonna need to think about that one for a little longer, but back to the chapter for now. Another reason that we know that Fukuzawa is definitely blinded by loss is him blaming Fyodor for Fukuchi's foolishness, saying that he is pure evil and should have told Fukuchi these shortcomings. The thing is, two people already did that, unbeknownst to Fukuzawa, and fucking died, so I'm kinda glad Fyodor didn't pipe up actually. But also, this is just more proof of how blinded Fukuzawa is right now. He isn't the composed president we know him as right now, but what he really is, a grieving old man in denial of his dear friend's shortcomings. And disclaimer, this isn't me saying that Fukuchi is evil. I made a whole video about this. This is just me saying that the bitch was wrong because he was wrong. So let's continue here. After being stabbed, Fukuzawa rightfully argues that Fyodor's plan to show the world the true nature of ability users and turn them against those people is just as foolish because duh, that would only work in the shorter run here. Fyodor replies that using the ugliest of humanity would be more effective than blindly trusting them to do the right thing. To him, human beings will turn ability users into a sort of oppressed minority that will eradicate them in the war. Now, let's clarify some things. Is Fyodor a fascist? Quite possibly, but also do not jump the gun. His goal is yet to be achieved because he hasn't used Atsushi to the book yet, and therefore, we don't know what he wants to do with it. Logically, he doesn't need the book right now. He can just strut into a meeting with Gozen by his side and use that typical Fyodor charm to turn everyone against the agency. Also, his own beliefs and motivations are still yet to be revealed. We don't know enough for this to be the case for his character. What you should be doing after this chapter is what Atsushi is doing, sitting back and listening. And yeah, I'd like to emphasize that he is listening right now. Where Fukuzawa is arguing against Fyodor's words more obsessively, Atsushi is hearing what he's saying, and what it looks like is that he's doubting his own beliefs. Just look at his face. We know Atsushi. We know that he's seen the true ugly nature of humanity firsthand. No, I'm not saying that he's going to switch sides, but maybe he'll come to a more rational conclusion than calling Fyodor a fucking idiot. After that, Fukuzawa turns into bubbles and is not drinking by Gozen, which is something I find interesting to note. And then Atsushi panics and he wonders what Dazai would do. Yeah, we've been here before. But I'd also like to put on the table how Gozen could be defeated. We need to cut off Fyodor's hand. Because the symbol he's using to control Gozen is on his hand, and we know that Gozen doesn't really do much without commands. I'd also like to bring up that Fyodor's words are really complex in this chapter, and I didn't do a full deep dive into them. But this wonderful analysis over here discusses the symbolism of the political undertones and commentary concisely. I'll be linking it, so do check it out. Another thing, Fyodor made 2 Gozens. Yeah, but remember, he's viewing the world as we view paper. If we have a guy on a paper, just draw another guy next to him, man. I don't know what's so hard here. Also, a portrait of Akutagawa was released along with the chapter. I'm still yet to analyze it, but I think it's worth noting that it looks very interesting. See, the roses in front of him are freshly bloomed while the ones behind him are wilted. In the middle of them all are lily blossoms which symbolize rebirth. This could be symbolizing Akutagawa's rebirth as a new person, which in tandem means that it might be true that Akutagawa is not getting his memories back, like I discussed in my other video, so who knows, maybe I might be right again. Things are bad. This was a really thought-provoking chapter and one of the best this year, mainly because I'm sick of this goddamn airport, oh my god. But also, quick PSA. Yes, BSD has been slow for the past year. Yes, it doesn't have the same spark. But keep in mind, we've gotten less than 12 chapters this year as well. And I know it's getting hard to stay interested, but you don't need to. Part of loving a series is admitting its faults. And let me be one of the many to say it, the manga is less entertaining right now. Don't feel obliged to stay here. We got a couple of months for the next one. All I can say is for you guys to think before you tweet. Editor Cash here. I'm actually editing this video and I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Fyodor doesn't care about humanity and he lied. To which I reply, incorrect. He does care about humanity, he does love humans. But he admits their ugliness, he admits their faults, and he uses that against him. Think of it as gentle parenting the humans. He's using their weaknesses against them to ensure their safety. Keep in mind, he doesn't see ability users as human beings, he sees normal people as human beings. Which, that might be a little bit mean, but still. Keep in mind that he doesn't hate them, and remember, he still believes that he's saving humans. Other than that, the comments are open to discussion of any points I missed or you disagree with here. Once again, please remain civil and avoid arguments too much. Bye bye.